I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
They didn't lose the game. It was taken from them. In what should have been a hard-fought win, or at least a fair chance at overtime, the Indiana Fever watched everything crumble in the final seconds. But not because of poor execution or missed shots. No, what went down in that arena was something entirely different. This was a theft. Bold, blatant, and broadcasted live in front of millions.
Then she holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the fourth time on her arm. It's cheating. It's plain as day. The haters will say she got locked up. Yeah, if you're fouling the whole game. But I'm going through this entire game. The corrupt refs gave this game to New York and they still barely won.
You could feel the tension in the air. Caitlin Clark, the most watched rookie in WNBA history, had the ball in her hands with the clock ticking down. 2 points down. Everything on the line. And then, nothing. No whistle. No justice. Just silence from the referees as Clark took clear contact on her drive. This wasn't a missed call. It was the kind of moment that defines whether or not fans believe in the integrity of the league. And in that moment, many didn't. The footage doesn't lie. As Clark drove to the rim, Natasha Cloud was draped all over her. Contact before, during, and after the play. Any other player? Any other team? That's a foul. 2 free throws. Overtime. But instead, the refs swallowed their whistles, and the Fever watched their shot at redemption evaporate. The final buzzer sounded. The Liberty celebrated. And Clark stood there, stunned.
A 3 off target. Batted a lot. Bodies on the floor. Clark 1-on-3 trying to split the defense. Goes into traffic and reverses it off the glass. And a fearless Caitlin Clark here.
Watch how she uses her body to shield the defender. That's just beautifully done by Caitlin Clark.
It was more than just a blown call. It was a breaking point. Fans on social media exploded. Analysts were speechless. Even seasoned broadcasters were forced to admit it. This was one of the most lopsided finishes in recent WNBA memory. But here's the wildest part. It wasn't the only questionable call of the night. In fact, it was part of a pattern that has fans asking whether the league has a serious problem on its hands.
No pass shot possessions for New York. Clark, step back 3. Oh, she hit it and draws the foul. Welcome back, Caitlin Clark.
And if you're already fired up about this, we need your voice. Take a second right now to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment with your thoughts on the officiating. We're building a community that holds the WNBA accountable. Every sub helps us tell stories the mainstream won't touch. And trust me, this story isn't over.
Our third quarter was really, really good. Obviously, if we won the quarter by 17 points, that's what put us in a position to have a chance to win. So essentially, we really played one good quarter of basketball and lost to the defending champions by 2. So I guess that's positive. A lot of ways to continue to get better.
Let's talk numbers. Over the last few games, the Indiana Fever have faced a minus 31 free throw discrepancy. You read that right. 31 fewer free throw attempts than their opponents. That's not a fluke. That's not coincidence. That's a trend. And when you're talking about games being decided by 2 or 3 points, that kind of gap isn't just unfair. It's devastating.
A 3 off target. Batted a lot. Bodies on the floor. Clark 1-on-3 trying to split the defense. Goes into traffic and reverses it off the glass. And a fearless Caitlin Clark here.
Watch how she uses her body to shield the defender. That's just beautifully done by Caitlin Clark.
Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, didn't hold back. At the post-game press conference, she described the officiating as pretty egregious. That's coach speak for unbelievable garbage. She pointed out that Indiana isn't just launching threes, they're attacking the rim with power and precision. That's supposed to draw fouls. That's how the game works. But somehow, the whistle never comes for them.
The refs messed up 3 calls in the last 3 possessions of this game. First, DeWanna Bonner gets absolutely destroyed, no call.
When New York got 32 free throw attempts and Indiana only 15, the outcome was practically rigged from the start. You can't expect to win close games when your opponent gets twice as many trips to the line. That's not just a difference in scoring chances, it's a difference in momentum, in rhythm, in confidence. It's psychological warfare, and the Fever were fighting with one hand tied behind their back.
And then Sabrina Ionescu makes the contact.
And it wasn't just Caitlin Clark who got robbed. Moments before that no call, Dana Bonner drove to the basket for a wide-open layup and got hammered midair. No whistle, no foul, just stunned faces on the Fever bench and a missed opportunity that would have put Indiana ahead late in the fourth.
And this is the worst one. There's 1 foul. There's 2 fouls. Then she holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the 4th time on her arm. It's cheating. It's plain as day. The haters will say she got locked up. Yeah, if you're fouling the whole game. But I'm going through this entire game. The corrupt refs gave this game to New York and they still barely won.
Then came the phantom foul on Lexi Hall. She was guarding Sabrina Ionescu with perfect form. No reaching, no shoving, just clean, legal defense. Yet somehow, the whistle blew. And guess what? Those were the free throws that won New York the game. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Bonner gets crushed. Nothing. Hall plays clean defense. Whistle. It's like the rules flipped based on the jersey you were wearing.
Coach, you talked about the way that the game has been officiated for you guys. How did you see the foul that was not called, or a lack of foul, on the Bonner play, and then follow it up by Lexi Hull getting called for the foul?
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. DB's was crazy. We had, and then Lexi's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path. It is what it is. We have to be able to play through it. But at the same time, I feel like it's really disrespectful.
These weren't just isolated mistakes. This was a chain reaction of bad calls, each more damaging than the last. And when those calls pile up, they stop being accidents. They become something else. Something that smells a lot like bias. Something that fans, players, and coaches are tired of pretending isn't happening.
The disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control.
For Stephanie White, this wasn't just a bad game. It was the last straw. She walked into that press room and said what every Fever fan has been thinking. The disrespect for our team has been unbelievable. Her words hit like a sledgehammer, and she didn't stop there.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim.
White called out the WNBA's so-called grievance system, the same system teams are supposed to trust when calls go sideways. But as she put it, I don't know that I ever feel like the system works. That's a coach who has lost faith. And when leaders lose faith in the system, you know something is deeply broken.
Steph, given your perspective on the first 4 games, is that something you've already tried to be proactive with the league, or you'll reach out to them and let your feelings known?
Yeah, look, there's a system to making sure that we can send stuff in and communicate, our grievances, so to speak. I don't know that I ever feel like the system works. We're not looking for a change. We're just looking for consistency. I felt like the second half of Atlanta, at least at our place, was at least consistent, right? And that's the thing that we're looking for.
She wasn't venting. She was fighting for her players, for fair treatment, for a league that treats all teams equally, no matter who's wearing the uniform. The WNBA wants fans to believe in its integrity. But if the officiating keeps trending this way, they're going to lose more than games. they're going to lose trust.
On the plus side, you could say you're 2 possessions away from being 4-0 in these games. Do you look at it from both sides? Like, here are the positives of this, and then here are the things we really want to work on.
Yeah, and that's probably what's frustrating about it, too, is like we are 2 possessions or, from being 4-0, but there was so many little areas in this game that we could have improved. Like, our defense, again, to start the game was poor, and we got to find a way to come out with more energy, being able to guard, and yes, they present a very tough challenge when all 5 of them can make threes and, they're setting inverted ball screens, things like that. It's a challenge, but you got to find a way to do it.
Here's the part that shows how badly Indiana deserved to win. They dominated the third quarter. Outscoring the defending champions by 17 points isn't a fluke, it's a statement. The Fever came out of halftime with fire, discipline, and a plan. And they executed it to perfection.
Consistency is definitely where we can be a lot better. Feels like every game we've really only put 2 quarters together. We're kind of waiting for that, 4 quarters of really good basketball, and I think it's going to be a learning curve. This group is new. We haven't played a ton together, so but that's what's going to have to happen if we want to beat the really good teams in this league. Is you got to find a way to put together 4 really good quarters. There's going to be runs. That's basketball. They're going to go on their runs. We got to be able to find a way to stop them and then respond. So I think that's an area we can certainly improve in.
Aaliyah Boston looked like a superstar, not just a rising talent. She dropped 27 points and 13 rebounds, bullying her way through defenders, grabbing boards like her life depended on it. Meanwhile, Lexi Hall, in her first start of the season, stepped up huge with 15 points. She looked like she belonged out there, and more importantly, she looked fearless.
I think for us, we just have to make sure that we're playing consistent throughout the whole game. It's pretty easy to just say that our, not getting over the hump in that fourth quarter, but I think our start, in that second quarter, they outscored us by a bit. So we have to make sure that our start is better so that when we do get to the fourth quarter, it doesn't have to be this close. But it was competitive basketball. We dug ourselves in a hole to start. We got back in it, tied the game up. Sometimes the ball just doesn't roll your way, but I think if we prioritize the way we start, it's going to be better for us in that fourth quarter.
Even Caitlin Clark, despite getting harassed on every possession, managed 18 points and 10 assists. That's a double-double against a top-tier defense, while being bodied every time she touched the ball. If you needed proof that this team can go toe-to-toe with anyone, that third quarter gave it to you.
How do you accept officiating without letting it, affect how you go about and execute the rest of the game?
Yeah, when it comes to accepting, it's like we don't really have a choice because they're going to call what they want to call. And so for us, even for me, I miss some of those easy around the rim. I think for me, I have to put them in the rim for just post-talk. And we just have to finish through contact. If we don't get it, we don't get it, but we have to give ourselves the best opportunity to get that basket.
Every great team has a moment where they realize they belong. For the Fever, this was it. They led by 12 in the fourth quarter against a fully loaded Liberty squad. That's not luck, that's growth. But what makes this team dangerous isn't just their skill, it's how they're responding to adversity.
We'll have a couple of days to get some work in practice, and we'll use that as an opportunity to look at some of those things. We've got to continue to do what got us here. We got to move the ball. We've got to hit singles, not make home run plays. We have a tendency to try to make the home run play all the time, the dagger or the play that gets the momentum going, or and it doesn't need to be that way. We can make the easy plays. So those were more of the communications, keeping our intensity level. On both ends of the floor. You can't relax. The margin for error when you're talking about playing championship caliber teams is so small.
This isn't just about bad calls anymore. It's about resilience. Stephanie White said it herself. We're 2 possessions away from being 4-0. Let that sink in. 2 plays, 2 whistles. That's the only thing standing between this team and an undefeated record. The margin is razor thin, and yet they're still fighting. Clark echoed the same thing. Feels like every game we've only put 2 quarters together. That honesty shows something deeper, an understanding that they're not even playing their best yet, and they're still nearly unbeatable. When this squad figures out how to bring 4 full quarters of locked-in basketball, the rest of the league should be very, very nervous. Here's the twist no one saw coming. This heartbreak? It might be the best thing to ever happen to the Fever. This controversy isn't just firing up fans. It's uniting the entire locker room. You can see it in how they talk about each other. You can feel it in how they play through contact, dive for loose balls, and get back up after every missed whistle. This team isn't just hungry, they're angry. And angry teams that know how to channel it become champions. You want to build a championship culture? Start with disrespect. Start with unfairness. Let it fuel you. That's what's happening in Indiana. They're forming an us-against-the-world mentality, and teams with that kind of fire become dangerous when it counts most. The playoffs are months away, but the Fever are already battle-tested. The referees can blow all the bad calls they want. They can keep their whistles in their pockets when Clark gets hacked. They can give phantom fouls to New York and pretend it's just part of the game. But here's what they can't do. Stop what's coming. The Indiana Fever are no longer just a rebuilding team. They're a threat. And the only thing standing between them and dominance is consistency. Not effort, not talent, and definitely not heart. Aaliyah Boston is playing elite-level basketball. Lexi Hall is stepping up like a seasoned vet. Caitlin Clark? She's proving every night why the hype is real. Because even when everything goes against her, she finds a way to make it competitive. Stephanie White said it best. We're not asking for favors, we're asking for consistency. That's not too much to ask. The Fever earned the right to have their games decided by basketball, not by blown calls and biased whistles. And this fan base? They're not letting it slide.